Hello everyone, welcome to our Platform Weekly webinar. My name is Til Kurkan and I'm your host for this session. Today I have a special guest for you, it's Sven Fischer from Logicline. He will give us some insights into their asset management tool which they developed based on Salesforce Platform. But before I start, I just want to give you a quick reminder that you should base your purchasing decision only on products and services that are currently available. We will start today with a short introduction, giving you a big picture of the Salesforce platform and Heroku. Afterwards, Sven will take over with his presentation and Robert will do a short demo. During the session, you can post your questions in the Q&A section on the right bottom side. We will try to answer all of your questions at the end in the Q&A session, and all the unanswered questions we will follow up on you. Now, in the past, everyone was talking about the digital transformation. But we didn't really see the expected progress in many industries. When we talk nowadays to our customers, the one common theme that we hear is that the shift to digital is more important than ever before and needs to happen quickly. It's now imperative. But what does it mean? Well, for some industries, the importance of selling through digital channels is now a matter of survival. For example, Adidas, when the physical stores were closed, they shifted completely to sales to e-commerce. And digital apps are providing customers the ability to still deliver a physical experience. At Starbucks, for example, you can order through their mobile app, pay, and pick up your drink outside the store, all contactless. And many businesses are also shifting to digital for their employees, as their entire workforce shifts to working remotely. Employees need tools for sharing information and collaborating with colleagues in real time from home. Employees, customers, and partners are working in a digital world. This new world will not go away, it will stay. The question is, how will you adapt? When it comes to transforming the way companies communicate and do business with their digital customers, the selection of the right platform for developing these modern apps plays a major role. No one wants to develop an app that is hard to extend or customize after the first release. It reminds me somehow of never change a running system. If you develop a service or a feature for one app, why not easily using it for another one? And when we talk about integration, have you ever heard a developer talking about how easy it was to integrate his latest app in the existing landscape? Me neither. And developers are often frustrated when it comes to governance, risks, and compliance. No one wants to talk about GDPR, right? Last but not least, if the user experience is below the customer expectation, the users will not use it. Well, but these are all critical points you have to cover when you want to build scalable and trusted apps that your customers love to use. This is where our Salesforce platform and ecosystem comes into play. The Salesforce platform is designed to help businesses succeed in building apps not only for your digital customers, but also for partners and employees. While we have on the one side no-code and low-code tools for declarative developers like Salesforce admins and business users, we also have tools like Heroku for programmatic developers. Heroku delivers everything programmatic developers need to build amazing apps fast. So what exactly is Heroku? Heroku is a platform as a service built on top of the world's leading infrastructure as a service provider, AWS. Heroku manages every aspect of the software development lifecycle without the need of an AWS admin. This means that your programmers can focus 100% on building their apps, while Heroku takes care of scale, compliance, orchestration, security, and much more. Heroku also has built-in collaboration tools to help teams do their best work and deliver the best apps. So in a nutshell, Heroku not only manages your infrastructure, it also manages all the services your team needs to build, test, deploy, and scale apps. But now enough from my side. Sven, it's your turn.
Thank you, Stil. So then I want to introduce myself and my colleague Robert as well. So hello, my name is Sven Fischer. I'm from Logicline. I'm working since about more than 10 years in logicline, and we are doing IT projects. And I have my colleague Robert here, who's our senior principal Salesforce consultant and has far beyond expertise on the Salesforce platform itself. He will do afterwards a demo about the app we built for managing our industrial assets on the Salesforce platform. As well, I will do a short demo for the more Heroku and Salesforce orientated topics. So what is about manage your industrial assets on the Salesforce platform? So what you want to do is to connect the installed base into the Salesforce org so that there is more transparency, as well as everybody has an overview on what the installed base is and how you can manage that in Salesforce as well. So therefore, we built an application on the Heroku platform to do all the backend work, like monitoring tickets, alarming KPIs, logbooks as well. And the main part for that backend is the integration part. Like we integrate the assets into various systems. We can connect data lakes. We can define analytics based on that, and push all the things that is needed, and only the things that is needed towards the Salesforce service or Sales Cloud. So the main reason for that building system is that we want to not to push all data into Salesforce, but only push the necessary data on the Salesforce, as well as we want to empower the Heroku power for managing the things in the background, so that we can push forward things that is really needed. Therefore, as you can see on the slide, we built building blocks so that we can build together a system that is really valuable for our customers, as well as only put in place the needed things on the backend as well. Here you see the building blocks of the Asset 360, our backend system for that, where we, as mentioned before, put in the systems and the integration and connectors to various backend systems like Empolis for analytics or ePlan or Adamos, a device cloud, so that we can push necessary things towards the Salesforce clouds. So the main reason to do that is that we want to bring together the IoT domain with the assets, with the measurements, with device data, with all the things that you have in the field towards the Salesforce platform, so that we enable the power of the Salesforce platform together with the millions of assets and devices. And we want to put in the machine and its data to make it visible for your service department, for your sales department, to create opportunities, to create cases, and even to do predictive maintenance for that. And our logicline Asset 360 is the technology to integrate that. So our app, we think about it's a connector. So we want to connect the IoT domain with the Salesforce to enable the power of the Salesforce platform. Here you can see how we think they work. So we have assets in the field that are connected, and they can send data towards Heroku. And here we can measure the data. We get temperatures. We get other values like vibrations, like pressure, and this and that. And based on that, we can in the backend evaluate what is needed to create a ticket or to create an alarm, to create a case, or even to create an opportunity. And that analysis is done on the Heroku platform or together with our partners and analytics networks. And that, in the end, the device decides what to put forward to Salesforce, so that here the action could be taken. Like open a service case, send out service technicians, send out the service technicians with the right cases, with the right materials, with the right spare parts, or even with the right software updates. And that service technicians or the service department can also create opportunities based on that, so that you can see in your sales department already, okay, there was a service case, but this was successfully solved or closed, and I have the opportunity to sell upon that. How do we build that? The main part is built on Heroku. We call this Asset Integration Hub. So this is a backend collecting and connecting to any device cloud, to anything that's around. So we get the assets into the system, and above on that, we build on the Salesforce platform Assets 360 Salesforce connector, who can decide, who can map all the data that is necessary towards Salesforce. Asset itself can be represented in Salesforce, and you see what your company has sold, to whom it was sold, when it was sold, and also how it is used in the field, how it is installed, how the installed base is, how that's customer connected, and then you can push this data forward towards Salesforce. On the Salesforce platform, then you can use all the standards that that Salesforce offers, like reports, like process builder, like workflows, opportunities cases as well. Here, now we go a little deep dive into the things that we used. On the left-hand side, you can see all the things that Salesforce offers you in their clouds, like task, opportunities, reports, dashboards, and so on, and the asset object as well. What our app is doing is now enriching that asset object so that we can have more attributes. We gave some templates, we gave a custom mapping, that's so that you can really decide what you want to see in Salesforce. You don't need to see and have every data in Salesforce, but you can really decide what kind of data you have within Salesforce. And based on that data, on that asset, you can create your dashboards, your workflows, any kind of approval process you want to need, and use all the power of the Salesforce platform itself. The Asset 360 Integration Hub is completely running and built on Salesforce. So here you can see the installed base. We have tickets. There is connectivity possible. We deployed an integration layer that based on open source technology. It's Apache Camel, and there you have connectors that connect to device cloud, to an analytics framework, or even directly to the field level via MQTT or other protocols that can be used. The whole system runs on Heroku, as you know. Heroku is using dynos, and we use the Postgres database to collect the data as well. And we're using various add-ons in the Heroku world, like SendGrid or Cloudinary for pictures and document service, or monitoring service like New Relic or Log Entries as that. But now I would hand over to Robert to explain and to show you how this app is built and what kind of technology we use to get the data out of Heroku into Salesforce and how you can use it there.
Okay, thank you, Sven. Let me share my screen. So, hi everybody. Yes, I'm Robert. I'm principal Salesforce architect at Salesforce. I'm doing Salesforce product development for over 10 years now. And I want to give you an insight into the left part of Sven's slide, the Salesforce app. I'm quite sure everybody knows that asset management is complicated and has many aspects, and we've seen that in Sven's slides. So the full complexity of like talking to different devices in the field and getting those millions of data in is done on Heroku. But how do we use Salesforce? Salesforce is the customer platform. So in Salesforce, we only do all the stuff that is relevant to reacting to customers, to selling to customers. And there actually everything gets quite simple because Salesforce brings most of the things we want. It's a CRM, it knows opportunities, it knows leads, it knows communication channels, it knows how to sell products, how to price them. And there is even an object and an app about managing assets. And I hope everybody can see my screen. This is the Salesforce Asset 360 app inside of Salesforce, and it only has 3 tabs. It has I'm currently in a small system with not a lot of data, but you will get it by looking at it. So there's a dashboard, there's the assets tab, and there's the setup tab. And what I want to show you is how we use the Salesforce platform to build something super flexible, because that's what at the core of this asset business, that every customer has totally different assets. Manufacturing companies have machines, other people, they have like small IoT devices, mobile phones with SIM cards. So no customer is the same. So the challenge we had was to build an app which works for all of those different types of devices in the back end and is still flexible to do a lot in Salesforce. So the core decision was to use the Salesforce asset object for that. It's a Salesforce object with a ton of cool features, like you can connect it to field service, you can create work orders. So a lot of that exists. So we thought the only thing we actually have to do is get device information from the Heroku backend into Salesforce very easy. And then we can use Salesforce native features like reports, Einstein expected actions, and all of that cool things that we have on the platform to monitor that. And I want to do 2 things in my demo. I want to first show you how easy it is to adjust the app to your asset data model, which can be totally different than the asset data model of another customer. And then I want to show you how we use Flow and Process Builder to react to device changes. Imagine a machine goes obsolete or is broken, and from the Heroku backend something gets into Salesforce, then we can immediately show it or do something. Because it's not only about showing on dashboards, it's actually about reacting and selling. Okay, so let's just go back to this asset object which I opened. It's a demo, it's a solar panel, you know, and assets actually have a hierarchy. So a machine consists of other modules, whatever. And this is just a demo system which shows a solar panel system. And when we look at the setup menu, we see Salesforce has given the asset a bunch of standard fields which basically work for every asset in the field out there. Where is it? Who manufactured it? What's the status? But as we talk to customers, we have seen that assets can be numerous things. So the first challenge we had, how do we adjust the data model? And I'm showing you here the easy setup page of our Asset 360 connector app. We've seen we already connected to the Heroku backend. There's this green setup step which already created complicated things like auth providers, connected apps. But for the customer, it's easy. He just entered a few URLs, a password and a customer ID, and then the Salesforce app connected to Heroku. That's all. It takes a few minutes. Now the next thing is how do we adjust the Salesforce data model to match the device data model in the backend? And there's a new setup step which says we need some kind of mapping. And this setup step tells me that I need a mapping for 50 device properties. And I don't have to do that. I just click an execute button, wait a minute, and then it's creating something called a custom metadata in Salesforce. Oh, I clicked 2 times, but that always happens during demos. And you see, it created something called mappings for, those are all the device properties that we actually have on our Heroku S360 backend. And this says our devices also have something like running hours, a scan barcode, which is not part of the Salesforce data model. But we should make it part of the Salesforce data model. And that's the cool thing. In Salesforce, you can create custom fields and you can adjust the types and do something. We don't want our customers to go in and create like 50 fields and permission sets. So you can do the same from the setup page. I just reloaded that you don't see this ugly error message. So there is another one missing. Oops. I think I have a demo effect. But anyway, I will tell you what actually should work. In a next setup step, I would be able to create 50 new fields on the asset object just for my backend. And then I could say, in a nightly run, I wanna, or whenever something changes, I want to get updates from my backend. And then whenever a machine goes corrupt, I would have this data in Salesforce. Yeah, sorry for not being able to show that. I think that always happens when you don't pray to the demo gods before. Let me show you something different. So I want to show you how we use native no-code or low-code tools in Salesforce to make the system flexible. So I'm here in the process builder of Salesforce, and when you install our app, it comes pre-packaged with a bunch of flows that you can reuse, adjust, and this is just a very simple one. It's the asset change process. It basically says whenever from the outside during a nightly change or during platform events, the asset needs a service, and you can really define what that means. Like need service status has changed to obsolete or something like that. We react to that by posting something on Chatter and creating a work order, which is, please service agent go out and do something. And a customer can fully adjust that. He can take one of our pre-packaged process builder flows, clone it, and say, I want a totally new process. Give it a description, and then he can fully adjust the conditions under which actually something changes. So he can define new conditions and he can define new actions. And Salesforce and Process Builder, Flow Builder is really powerful. You can create email alerts, run other flows. You can even call Apex code that we in our app have packaged. You can talk to Quip, you send out custom notifications. But let's just look how it looks when you when you create a new work order. Let's go here. I've just prepared that before the demo because the update from the backend doesn't always take place in seconds. So when an asset goes, in this case, obsolete, which is like a generic term for there's something wrong, we immediately created a work order which will appear on the field agent's homepage, and he could go in and actually see which part has changed. And this is really just an example. So a customer of our app could basically customize everything. He would adjust the data model to his machines and his IoT devices on the backend. Then in our Salesforce app, create the data model that he needs, and then asset changes would come from the backend to Salesforce, and you could build flows and dashboards on it. Okay, Sven, that's it for my demo. I give back to you, and I'm happy to answer questions in QA.
Thank you, Robert. So then I will share my screen again. Okay, hope you can all see my screen. So Robert showed the Salesforce part in his demo org. I also want to show you that, but before here I want to show you how this looks like in Heroku, so that you have an impression how powerful Heroku is. So I would show you two things. First thing is Wise. So Wise is a machine builder. They are building rotary tables, and they want to monitor that, and then they want to build upon that analytics engine and so on, and want to really monitor their assets in the field, and they are using the Assets 360 backend to connect to that field things, and then they want to connect this to the Service Cloud, so to enable the service folks to do this. This project is currently running, so we are working on that. And then here you can see a typically Heroku dashboard where we divide it into 3 stages. So we have a development stage who is ongoing, be developed and updated, and we have a, let's say, more stable production stage where the final version is then deployed. And as you may know, Heroku easily enables that kind of stages, and you can directly push code. We use Bitbucket for that, so that we can directly push our development towards Heroku. It gets deployed, it gets up and running, and you can test and verify it, and you can also easily update your production system. Also want to show you a second one. As you can see, it's the same. And it's Empolis, another partner of us, where my demo is connected to. And here you can see it's the same setup. We have a development and a productions thing, and we're using we're using the dynos, and we have divided into some more dynos to structure the code a little, and to have the system better, let's say, prepared for maintenance. And if you go in, then you see exactly what is running when it's updated. You see the latest activity. You see what add-ons we use for various topics, like for pictures, we use Cloudinary, so that you just store your pictures once and you get updated everywhere. And that things, what you also built on top of that, I just want to briefly show you that you can see the comparison between a Heroku app as well as the Salesforce app. As we built a small UI based on our Assets 360 backend, where you can just log in. It's connected to Salesforce as well, so you can use a single sign-on for both worlds, and then you can see your assets on small dashboards, and you're able to build whatever you want based on Heroku. So what we built here is an UI where you can manage your assets. You get alarms, you get tickets, you get KPIs. You can link external system, for example, a knowledge management and stuff like that, based on that. So it's really easy to integrate things based on Heroku and to build UIs. But the main thing here is all the data is there, but with the app we have, with the connector, we push necessary data towards Salesforce. So you can see it here. If I now switch to the Salesforce org here, you can see on the asset tab itself, you can see what assets are there, and it's the same. Yeah, we push the heavy tools and the mining side, so the data is connected. It's pushed up and there, and you can see whatever kind of data is necessary for you and for your business processes are there and are available. So you see to which account it belongs. You see a contact person. You see the product. You see some details to the product if you want to link to it. You also have information like the serial number or the material number. You see when it is installed, who's the manufacturer, and every kind of data for that. And you can also see, okay, I have some kind of charts that's, and you can see, okay, how are these assets in hierarchy? So what you can click here and there, and then you can see more details. You can see product codes, and you can see all that type of data that you want to need to enable your business processes as well. Yeah, the next step on this is like to improve your business process around that. Imagine you have a customer that is complaining about something like, okay, this device is using too much energy. It's above the average, and he's creating a case, or even the device is creating a case. Depends how much the thing is connected, and then you can see, oh look, I got a case here that says, oh, the energy consumption is above average, and you can see on one click that is connected to that asset called minibugger here, and you have all necessary data to fix that issue on that. And even here you can then say, okay, look, I possibly think this device needs some software update. And yeah, it could be the case that normally it's difficult to identify which kind of software is running on the device really. Does anybody did an update after I sold it? Was something changed on this and that? But if you have the connection to your asset, you can go in and see what kind of software version is installed, what kind of thing is running, and then you can decide as a service people, oh look, yeah, we need to update that, and this potentially will solve the issue on that case. But for the case itself, it could be that oh look, that kind of factory, I know it's somewhere in nowhere, and I have really had a bad internet connection. And imagine you send out your service fork with the wrong kind of software, or even no kind of software for that update case, and they just need to go back to upload the right version, so that you can really solve here.
And Sven, maybe just to add, the cool thing is that most of the things you are showing, they can be done and customized by the customer with just configuration and no code. So the decisions when something happens and what happens can be done with flow, with any line of code, with any development involvement.
Yeah, that's the cool thing. I just actually didn't do anything coding here. I just configured and clicked the views, and yeah, the service people can then decide, okay, look, that's the right software version, can attach it to the case, or can even attach it to the work order, so that the service fork is really like know what to do, when to do, and how to do, and be prepared to the customer. And if you can see, okay, look, that's actually for that device, it's typically that the average consumption, and the software heals it a little, but not really. So you can also say, okay, why not create an opportunity to sell a new device, and then the salespeople have all information needed. They know what case happened, that there is an opportunity to show, and have all information for their customers on one place. So you see, okay, there's an opportunity that you potentially could replace that existing device with a new part to be more have more energy efficient parts on it, because you know that the customer has some issues with that kind of energy consumption, and you see that that case was lately solved. The service technician were out, so you also don't run into escalation with your customer because you see it and you know it, and you also see it from asset level. So all information is there, and is it in one place. You know, that's actually part of the Salesforce platform, and with the Asset360 backend and the Asset360 app, you enrich that power much more, because you get real life data out of the field. All needed information are pushed forward to Salesforce, so that you really can base your action on device data.
Sven, if you want, I just fixed the problem before. I can just show this missing part, and it doesn't disrupt your flow or.
No, yeah. Perfect, fine, go ahead. I just wanted to show my setup page because it looks nice, but yeah, Robert, be sure.
Yeah. So maybe I can get the sharing permission again, that I can. I'm still not able to share my screen. The button is grayed out.
1 second, I will check if I can.
Yeah, now it works. Thank you. So perfect. So yeah, sorry, there was a small hiccup before, but this is how the setup page would actually have looked after the two more steps. So we asked this step, which blocked before, it basically asked the Heroku backend, how does assets or devices actually look like in this customer installment, and create mappings for that. And then this step would appear, which would customize the asset object. So for those 50 plus properties that we had special on our devices, this step just created asset fields. And now I can show you what I have. So this is the standard Salesforce asset object, but by clicking this one little button, it created proper fields for it. Like here you see Asset360 alarm codes, alarm flag, altitude, like where's this machine installed? Yeah, and this was the click of a button. So and for me as an engineer, this is really something sexy, like using Salesforce, using the asset object with all the power that Salesforce puts into it every release, but still making it flexible enough for customer wishes. Yeah, so yeah, I also scheduled the asset update job, which means we regularly, like every night or every hour, get fresh data from the backend. But we also have something in Salesforce called platform event. We can also send instant notifications from devices into Salesforce. So this is also a way of communication which works with our app. So you don't have to wait until the assets in Salesforce get updated each night. You can also define that in some events, like where risks are involved. We like push an event into Salesforce, and then you would immediately react on it in Salesforce. So create a work order, create an alarm. Right. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for letting me reshare. Back to Sven, or I don't know.
Yeah, thank you, Robert. So, let me wrap up what we just saw. We saw the app, the connection, the setup, how easy it is to really enrich the asset object that is already there in Salesforce. We had a quick dive into Heroku, the dynos, the add-ons, the features we use. What we not saw, because it's very hard to show, is the power of the integration layer we have. So with that integration layer, we are really able to connect towards any third-party system. There are some pre-built-in connectors for Cumulocity, for Empolis, for Azure, and so on, and even for direct access to the devices. But in principle, their connectors can be built for anything in quite less time. And then you have the ability to connect any kind of your third-party system to enable to flow in device data to the asset integration hub. And if it's there, with the nice connector Robert showed, you can easily decide what you want to push forward towards Salesforce, and then enable here the business processes, the sales process, the service processes, whatever you need. So this is really our aim, that we want to bring the IoT domain much more closer to the Salesforce platform, and that's our way how we approach it. Here you can see, and I can answer detailed questions on that, how we built the backend itself. So we think about layers and really, let's say, have shared responsibilities. We have an integration layer, we have an application layer, there's a device management layer. So this is really technically divided, and referring also to the building blocks that we have, so that we can build it really together in with software engineering tools for that. What we always think of in our implementation is that we think about API first. So whatever comes as an UI is on top, but every data, every service must to be available via an API, and typically a REST API. So that's our main goal, our promise for that system as well. Yeah, that's my final slide. Just want to refer how easy it is. There is just a 3-step process that you bring up your assets and your device data into the Salesforce platform. Actually, you need to install a Salesforce app. Will be available soon in the App Exchange. It's just a click on a link, as you all know. And then we need to deploy the backend itself, the Heroku backend. We will typically push this via our, let's say, Bitbucket pipeline or stuff like that. And then a little more tricky step, but also quite comfortable, is to connect your devices. So you can upload your asset data, or you can directly connect, depending also on how you want to handle this. And with that 3 little steps, you really have your asset data available in Salesforce and can build upon that data your business processes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sven. Thank you, Robert. I really loved your demo case and your presentation, because at the end, as you said, you show the end-to-end story of the power of the Salesforce platform. So on the one side, the Heroku, where you take the high-skilled pro code developers, yes, to develop the logic and so on, and then you use the low coding capabilities of Salesforce to adapt the UIs, to adapt what kind of information you share with your employees. And I mean this is really what we always try to communicate to our customers. There's so much already there available for you, which you can reuse for developing your applications. Okay, then I will share the last slides which I have here with you. So do you see my screen? Okay, good. Now, if you wonder how you can get first-hand impressions and experience with the Salesforce platform and Heroku, it's quite simple. The first step is to register yourself on my Trailhead. Trailhead is our e-learning platform where you can easily select different learning paths. Yes, for Heroku, for low code, for flows, automation, and so on. And we also have a free account for you on Heroku.com. So just start there. There's also a big community with people who want to help you. Yeah, so just go on the website, register yourself. Now we go to the questions answers. Let me just check. Okay, so one question, Sven or Robert, goes to you. How big was the effort to develop the asset? If you're allowed to share this with us, how big was the effort to develop the asset tool on your side? Or what the period, if you are not allowed to say the man days?
Yeah, man days is difficult to answer. For the backend, as we build this in blocks, we started as a small block, maybe the asset file, and then we enhance it during the period of time. So it's really hard to give an exact number here, what it takes to build it, and it's still growing. So we're enhancing it, we're building new blocks, we're building new features, new connectors, new stuff on that. So it's a growing platform.
And we should also say that there is a bigger, it's more effort to build the backend, because the backend like reduces all the complexity of talking to zillions of different devices and clouds. And building the Salesforce app was easy after we already built it. So we built it 2 times. The first time we made everything like custom, and then we saw we were running into problems because we don't fully embrace all the stuff that is there. We customized too much, we reinvented too many wheels. And then a while ago, we thought we fully revamped the Salesforce connector app to really use what's there, to not build anything that exists on Salesforce.com platform or Lightning platform. And then it was actually very easy. Then it was actually not that much effort. It was more like experience, not work, but experience. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's my biggest like that epiphany, that how easy it is to make it work when you embrace what's there and don't reinvent.
Another question which we have: what kind of assets do your customer track with your tool?
That's a good question, actually. So the asset term itself, it's not really fixed. So and that's why what we considered when we're building the module service or machine file on the backend. So actually, any kind of. That's not really a super sufficient answer. But as the term is not fixed, we think asset as a more abstract term. So asset has attributes, and you can enhance that attributes. So you actually can manage any kind of asset, like you can a complex machine, or even a notebook, or whatever you call assets. So that's really not dependent to a certain type. Sure, we have a strong focus on the industry, but in principle, any kind of asset can be managed.
Okay. Now, last question is: what is about predictive maintenance? Is this part of your tool?
Yes and no. Actually, there is no built-in functionality in the pure platform itself, but we have a partnership with Empolis, who build industrial analytics, and we have a direct connection to their backend, their system, and here they have a cool, how should we call it? A very cool implementation of bots. So you upload your data, you connect your device to there, or we can connect over our integration hub. That's not just a technical detail anyhow. And that bots you can configure, and they do analytics and predictive maintenance based on algorithms on there, and the results are pushed back to the asset integration hub, and then can be pushed forward to Salesforce. So that's what Robert also mentioned. We did not rebuild an analytics tool or framework because we're not the expert for that, but we use partners and connect to them so that we can empower their strengths here.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it's better not to reinvent the wheel, yes?
Maybe just as a side note, what Empolis is doing is really advanced predictive analysis, but for a like a demo case, we just used like Einstein next best action, something which is a little bit machine learning or AI in Salesforce. We just like monitored state changes in the assets that come back, and basically let Einstein next best action learn when should I create a work order based on state changes. So you could even use what's in Salesforce with Einstein next best action and predictive formula fields. It wouldn't be that super advanced, but even those, as we are just using Salesforce custom objects or native objects and fields, we could use those means to do like a cheap predictive maintenance. Because those native features of Salesforce, they also like look at the data in the org, like all assets, and can extract some knowledge out of that. So if a customer wants to get started, he could even, or doesn't want to like get the big solution, he could build this mainly on Salesforce.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So we're done with the question and answer. So now a little bit more marketing from my side at the end. I just want to give you a heads up that we have on the 30th of 10, we have another session, which is Salesforce feedback management. Here you can find out how we empower organizations to improve the customer experience by automating service across the customer lifecycle and unifying feedback data with Salesforce data to derive meaningful insights. So if you're interested into feedback, service, and so on, just join our session. And on the 20th of 10, we have we will discuss a winter release and point out the platform highlights there. So last word, last slide. Thank you very much for your participation, and wish you all the best. Robert, Sven, thank you one more time for the demo and the presentation from your side. Stay safe, stay healthy. Talk to you.